Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another new entry here. Once again based on one of your new suggestions. This one having to do with a very mysterious cryptid because of the fact that it has so little information tied to it. In fact, it was from a long time ago, and then on top of that, it hasn't had any current existence as of yet. And whatever existence it did have could actually be misinterpretations. And I'll talk about that more here in a minute. But again, all around, one of the most mysterious cryptids that are featured on this channel. In fact, you're looking at a representation of it now. It has a very interesting name as well. I believe it's spelled or called as Xiphis, based at least on how it's spelled. If somebody else has any other way of mentioning it, post it in the comments. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this Xiphis. I'll give my thoughts and opinions on it, and then let me know what you guys and gals think as well. So what is this Xiphis? Well, apparently it's a creature whose only known existence happens to be from some drawings. In fact, these drawings are placed on a mosaic, which I'll talk about more here in just a moment. As far as the creature itself and what it could be something along the lines of an animal that's about the size of either a small elephant or maybe a large mammal of some sort. And on top of that, it seems to have a very carnivorous manner to it. So in other words, it either attacks humans, eat humans, again, all based on what was drawn within this mosaic. But interpretations as to how it looks like and what it could be are pretty much wide open. Just imagine something on the lines of a small elephant, the build of a small elephant, but it has, instead of an elephant-like trunk, instead it has an elongated mouth, and that mouth has teeth on it as well, and then what could be something along the lines of ears. But again, very, very mysterious stuff, just because of the fact that there's no known concrete proof truly of the existence of this creature. If you wanted to classify it down to the simplest term of what it looks like, saw in one noted paragraph, it was described as a quote-unquote poorly drawn elephant. So there you go. That's essentially what the Xiphis is. Now, where it's located, like where its existence truly is, again, all comes down to one single set of drawings, which come from a mosaic called the Now Mosaic of Palestrina. This is a mosaic that was drawn a long time ago. In fact, it was drawn almost as a way back during the Roman days, as their way of being fascinated by the way ancient Egyptians lived and the way that they, I guess, did their daily activities. And so it was their interpretation of putting those activities within this mosaic, which in of itself is pretty large. In fact, it's almost 6 meters wide and almost 5 meters high. And currently, if you wanted to find this mosaic, it's still around. You have to go over to a museum called the Museo Nazionale Pristino, which is located in the Palazzo Barberina there in Palestrina. Apparently it's been there since 1953. So if you happen to be by that area and you want to see some potential cryptid history, well, there you go. You can go to this mosaic or see this mosaic in that museum and then see what's listed there. But ever since people have seen this mysterious creature depicted within that mosaic, there has been debate as to its true existence. I was mentioning earlier the idea that it could be misinterpreted, and here's how that could be. The idea that it's a poorly drawn elephant could exactly be that. Whenever this mosaic was being done, whoever did it essentially created it and listed it as such, thinking that's how an elephant looks, when in actuality it wasn't. Or maybe, who knows, maybe this was a mysterious type of elephant that was around at that time and then just is not seen anymore. The other idea is it could be a misinterpretation of a giant hog, almost like what was described as a sub-Saharan giant forest hog. And another idea is it could be something along the lines of a giant like pig, another type of warthog that is somewhere out there in this world that just hasn't been discovered as of yet, but was whenever this mosaic was being done. And yet another idea is that it could be along the lines of a creature called Sarcophagus taurus, which is also known as a carnivorous buffalo, something that must have existed sometime back then and was depicted in his mosaic and is just not found around to this very day. And then there's other interpretations of it being just some long lost creature, some type of animal that existed only around that time, didn't have any classification of any sort, but was depicted there and then was forever gone afterwards. But at least based on what the mosaic shows, this is a dangerous creature. The fact that it's attacking people and is in turn being attacked showcases that it definitely posed some kind of risk for anyone else that was around there. And the fact that this was again tied to a mosaic that was representing was the Roman idea of the way the Egyptians lived back then. Maybe some people saw it. Maybe some people truly knew of its existence back then. And then that was it. Like, that was essentially how it was listed on the mosaic. But that's pretty much it. That's all the information briefly associated with it. Oh, and if you wanted to add one more thing to the mix, it's the idea that it could have been identified as a type of hippopotamus as well. This one, though, is a little bit further stretch than some of the other creatures. But that's, again, something else that's listed as a potential animal for this Xiphis. But if anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. All right, everyone. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.